Hey everyone, it's been a while, but today we're going to take a look at the 3090 Ti for the Win 3 Ultra. This came out this week. There's been some reviews online, but they tend to kind of compare it to the 3090 FE, which is, in my mind, a little bit unfair considering the AIB models for the 3090 on the higher tier end are generally faster than the regular 3090s to begin with. So it'll be interesting for me to see how this compares to, say, a high tier 3090. Okay, so right off the bat, the box is a little bit larger than you actually need it to be. It's quite a large box. There's two versions right now from EVGA. There's the Ultra and the Black, and then there's the Kingpin that will be coming later on. Quick note, the Black I do not expect to be a long-term run. Okay, that will most likely be a very limited run. Reason being is the Black is the exact same card as the Ultra. Same cooler, same backplate, same everything. The only difference is on the stock boost, it's 1860 instead of 1920. Okay, now if you know how to overclock at all, or even just maybe based off NVIDIA Dynamic OC, or even OC Scanner, it's kind of, that 60 megahertz means absolutely shit. It means nothing. So it's an extra $200 really just for that. And the reason for that is, if you notice with the 3090 Ti FE, we have an MSRP card. We have an FE card. So AIBs like EVGA, ASUS, etc., they have to offer something at that $2,000 price point with the specs of the FE card. Okay? So what we see is, we see the Tough at $2,000, and we see the For the Win 3 Black at $2,000. Now the Tough and Tough OC is going to be the same situation. It's going to be the same card, except for one's going to have like a $200 markup over a couple bump on the BIOS. Okay. Now, if you watched Gamers Nexus tear down this card, I believe they were Season Ultra. Jacob had said these are binned. Now, don't take binned as in they bin them for a certain higher clock. That means, I think in my mind, they test the chip, it runs a certain clock, and they just note that down. It doesn't mean they're binned to be better, in my opinion. Okay, because I think if they're binning chips to be better, those would go to the KPE, not the Ultra, not the Black, for sure. Okay, so I've taken the card out of the box. We'll go over the contents. This is an empty box, so I'll shove it to the side. Here's the card itself. Okay, it is larger than this standard for the Win 3. It is 2.5. I'm sorry, 3.5 instead of 3. I think the For the Win 3 is like a 2.5 3090. I don't have one anymore. I had a few. I sold them because, 4000 series is coming. I was downsizing, so I didn't keep the. I tend not to keep the For the Win 3 models because, frankly, I had to RMA quite a few. So I don't have high confidence in EVGA products outside of the Kingpins. Okay. So, in the box you get the card, obviously, and I'll show you some accessories before we continue. You get a 12-pin to 3 8-pin adapter. For the EVGA cards, you can actually still use your original 12-pin to 8-pin to dual 8-pin. According to EVGA, that's safe to do. But if you have the adapter, why bother, right? Here's the box. Inside, you get this. You get 2 straps for the EVGA. What is that? Yeah, it's like wire ties. Okay, mesh wire ties. You get a bracket, mount bracket. I think the bracket attaches onto. You know what? I have no idea what this bracket attaches onto. I've never used it, so you can find out. You get an E-leash. This is their new. One end kind of attaches to the GPU, like over here. I think this slots in over here. And then the other end goes on to like a radiator fan spot, and it kind of supports the GPU instead of, I guess, a traditional GPU bracket. E-leash for the guide. Yeah, see the guide for the E-leash. Yeah, see, pretty much you hook it onto your GPU and then you hang it to a fan bracket or another part of your chassis that'll work, and that hangs it in place. You get a badge, and that's all you get in the box. Obviously the card. So we'll put the box again to the side, and we'll take a look at the GPU again. So one thing I noticed right off the bat is the back plate is thicker than the other ones. With the 3090 Ti's, you no longer have any VRAM chips on the back. They're all in the front. So I don't know why they increased the thickness of a backplate. The reason I don't like extremely thick backplates like this is because we have motherboards with very large M2 heatsinks, and sometimes this gets in the way. For example, you can also have problems like on my X570 Impact. If I wanted to slot this in vertically, it's not going to happen because it's a thick backplate. I already know that. Okay, so you get 3 BIOS switches, but as far as I know, the only difference these switches make is the fan curve. Okay, so you have OC, performance, and normal. It's all fan curve. Okay, it doesn't change like anything else, as far as I can tell. So speaking of BIOSes, I did flash the 3090 Ti Strix LC BIOS onto this card. It did work. I don't suggest it because, well, I mean, you're gonna lose the one display port because on the Strix card is 2 HDMI's, but you are also it's just not stable. But the Strix BIOS goes up to 520, and this is 480. So, but you know, to be honest, once you're over 450, you're kind of banging on silicone lottery on ambient more than anything else. So it didn't really help. It actually made it less stable, but that's to be expected to an extent. So other than that, you know, let's peel some plastic here. But yeah, also for this 3090 Ti, they've changed the cooler here to be a vapor chamber instead of the old just basic heatsink they had on the other ones. But I'm not going to take the card apart because I probably wait for a water block. I don't even know when that's coming. I know EK is making them, but like anything else, EK, it's soon TM, so you might have to wait a while. And by the time those blocks come out, you know, something else might be around the corner. So, but like I was saying in the beginning, to make this comparison fair, what I'm going to do is I will compare it to a 3090 white Strix. Okay. The 3090s I have are fairly good ones because I went through a lot of them to get the ones I have. So I don't think it'd be fair to compare it to just like a random retail 3090 Ti. So here I have a sealed, never opened 3090 white Strix, and I will compare it to this card. So I don't know how good of a chip this one is in particular, but we'll find out. So you know what, I might as well bust this open since I guess some people like white Strixes. I might as well open one on camera, so just let me get a knife and be right back. Okay, so I got a knife. Let's unbox this. I know this is probably one of the most popular GPUs that everybody wants. Maybe not now, but there's not going to be a Strix Air 3090 Ti because they're making the LC version, and the LC version is pretty much the same coolers that we got on the 6900 XT LC. It's the same card. I mean, not same card, but like generally similar PCB, similar cooler, etc. And the TUF is going to be the same situation, okay? The TUF is going to be a Strix cooler, essentially with some, I think the fans might be slightly different. And yeah, so, I mean, a lot of it, you know, is just marketing. So, for those that don't know, you get a white box, you get the white Strix inside, and you get some white Velcro straps instead of gray for the white one. And this is like, I don't know, everybody's favorite thing. The ring, which is okay. But yeah, so that's the white Strix. Pop it out. Oh yeah, this book is white instead of black. But other than that, which I've always said about the white Strix, is that while they give you white stuff like this, it's still a black card. Because if you look at the PCB, it's still black. And I know this is completely off track from the point of the video. We'll go back to that. But I always wanted to tell people, like, I think this is new that they start sticking this here. It used to be on the back. But I always tell people is that if you have a black Strix and you want a white Strix, just paint it, because it's gonna look better than the white Strix. I'll be honest. Like the white Strix, it's hard to say, but like if you don't have one, you don't know. And people who have one, they might disagree, whatever you want to say. But the point is, it's like cheap white plastic. Okay, it really looks like cheap white plastic. And when you paint it, it just looks so much nicer because it doesn't have that cheap plastic shine. And also, it's not going to turn yellow on you as quick if you keep it for a long run. Okay, so I'm going to now find the fastest overclock I can put on this. That's pretty much stable for daily. Not balls to the walls, but close enough. I will find the highest OC I can get on here. That's not balls to the walls, but close enough. And then we'll run it through like 4 games with RTX on, RTX off, and then we'll take a look at how much of a difference there is. Now, on paper, it's like 200-ish CUDA. So frankly, I don't expect much, but we'll find out. Okay guys, so I'm working on the Strix now, and I noticed right away that it seems like I probably have a bad paste job on this Strix out the factory. Reason being is, although I have the boost lock, so I'm going at 2085 right now, just not in 3D, but you see it's idling at 55. That's a little higher than I expect, and the moment I launch, granted I raised the power target to 123, even if I ran it stock, it's still much higher than it should be. So 2085, I can't get higher than this simply because I'm running into a temperature problem, which you'll see very shortly. This is like, I don't even know how many Strixes I've had, to be honest with you. It's been way too many. And I run most of them blocked, so I don't run into these kind of issues. But I have seen the paste job is kind of all over the place sometimes. And this looks to be an example of that. You guys will see very quickly. So I think this card will do 2100, but it can't maintain it because it gets too hot too quick. Once this loads. So, all right. So you see it's at 2010. It's dropping, like it's not even trying to go up there because it's at 85C already, like instant. It's 87, 88, 89. And it's 100% fan, by the way. So there's no, yeah, like this is a bad paste job. So I'm going to take it up, see, it's actually at 1875. And it will downclock all the way to 17 something. Simply because it can't maintain the boost curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out. I will check the paste. I'll show you guys what it looks like. And I'll repaste it and see if it can, you know, hold a better boost, because 91, you're not gonna, you know what I mean? It's gonna tank. So we'll see how that looks. I repasted it. The paste didn't look too bad, but it looked kind of thick. I have it at 100% fan, just because that's how I plan to do it anyway. But yeah, it's at 43 idle now instead of 56. I'm gonna run Port Royal, see if it helped. I had brought this up while I was doing it to someone else, and they were telling me like, oh yeah, it runs hot on air. And since I blocked so many of my Strixes, I frankly don't remember what they ran like on air, to be honest. Outside of testing the fact that they worked, I blocked them immediately. So if this still is running extremely hot, what I'll do is I will also include the numbers from a blocked Strix in my other system, running the same games per se. But because, you know, it's not going to be the same platform, but it's like a 12900K, no, not, sorry, 11900K versus a 5950X. I mean, for those benchmarks for gaming, they should be about the same. So I will throw those numbers as well. I'll run them from the same SSD, so same memory speed, shouldn't matter much. But yeah, okay. So far, yeah, we still have the temperature climbing pretty quickly to 75, 77. Well, it's better than, oh, no, it's still shooting up pretty quickly. So I guess the Strix cards run hotter than I remember, but yeah, that's kind of, I guess it is what it is. So I think this one, this card underwater probably will do a lot better than will on air. Okay, right off the bat, not super scientific. If you're into the super scientific benchmarks, this isn't for you. I put it very clearly that this is just a rough look. The water blocked card is obviously on a different platform. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to swap it over. Ideally, they would all be on the same platform. But the memory speeds are the same, so 5950X and the 11900K under 4K should be relatively the same because we're just stretching the card mostly. If I go through it, you'll see that in Forza, the Strix OC with water is a little behind by like 3 FPS. When I say dynamic boost stock, I found for the Win 3 card, like most NVIDIA cards, the driver itself has a dynamic boost. So even if you don't overclock it, it is highly likely it will still boost over the, how you say, stock clocks on the back of the box. This is why I say things like 60 megahertz on spec paper means absolutely nothing, because the driver itself will dynamically overclock well, not overclock, but let us run as high as possible under thermals, etc. Okay, so overclocking gives you a little bit extra, but yeah, 3 FPS compared to the Strix water. Then we look at Valhalla. You'll see that if we look at the average numbers, it's still super close, right? So pretty much comes down to what I expected in the beginning. Same for Far Cry. All of these titles, you can see that the water's 8. This one's probably a little higher than the others. You get a 6 FPS difference. But yeah, overall, there's not much of a difference. Same for Watch Dogs. You know, you're looking at so it's so close, right? So that's what the 200 CUDA really comes down to. I mean, the memory is nice. I will say that in closing, I'm going to say that the main benefit with the 3090 Ti's is that the memory is on one side. So the coolers, they're much larger than the 3090 versions, and that helps cool the VRAM, so you don't get that VRAM overheating like we had with the 90s when they were on the back. But at the end of the day, performance-wise, you're not really gaining too much, obviously, or you may see no improvement. Depending on the title, you may see no improvement at all, even. Or if you had a really good 3090, and you get a really kind of derp 3090 Ti, then you might actually be on a slight even footing, or perhaps maybe a slight downgrade if you had overclocked your 3090 very well. So the 3090 Ti for the Win 3 here that I have here is from the other 4 or 5 models that I know other people have. I will be getting a 3090 Ti tough, but out of the ones that I'm aware that other people have that I've spoken with, mine clocks pretty high. Mine does do 2250 stable for games. That's at 100% fan. So assuming it's blocked, it'll probably maintain that boost clock. So the cooler itself at 100% fan never went past like 60C. And I think on auto fan, it go up to like 60 something, like 65 maybe. So the card runs great. But once again, I mean, this is really what 3090s should have been to begin with. I think the 90 Ti is really just refreshing and making the card what it should have been out the box. So with that said, I would say stay away from the FE variant. It's $2,000. The other ones are about $2,000 to $2,200. I think the Strix LC is $2,200, and that's probably more on the expensive line. I think the Kingpin comes out at $23 maybe, or $22 something. I'm not too sure. I did sign up for the notification on the Kingpin, but frankly, I'm not even sure I will purchase it, because I mean, having more than 1 or 2 of these is kind of pointless at this point. Right now, it's 18 months after launch. If you don't have if you don't have
a 30 series card by now and you're sitting on a 20 series, I know availability is there, but it's really stupid to buy one now because it's kind of like way too late. And you have AMD cards around the corner, you have NVIDIA cards around the corner. Anything you buy now is like a last minute cash grab, and the value is going to tank like instantly when the newer cards come out. But, you know, maybe we'll have a shortage and, you know, things will be like before, where it takes a year for some people to get a card. But yeah, with that said, thanks for watching. Stay safe. And I may do a video on 90 Ti Tough. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Take care.